It is very difficult for people to appreciate success, but somehow people celebrate failure.
Na watu wanafikiri mimi nimeanza tu kama gavana. I started as a small person called a councillor. Mimi nilikuwa councillor, nilikuwa nakula shilingi 7,000 na nilikuwa nakula na watu 7,000 shillings. Ikaenda ikawa 14. Ikaenda ile mingi niliwacha sio ilikuwa 40 something. Na sisi ndio tuliongeza kwa sababu ilikuwa local. Ndio ilikuwa inaitwa local government.
Yakas down. Ke yakas abagenda kujala kara. Ngedla senet. Hotere. Are yakas la mana sana lakini emam ngisalutio. Emam ngarupia na chonoko lakini are yakas la mana na kuj.
Abu wake ni kapolo kamtuga. Sana sana mheshimiwa gavana. Issue and the MPs. Ka council naga na elders ko tere tichilo bene anyunya.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Ayok TV. Tonight, we are inviting you to our program, The County Talk. On this program, we are discussing things beyond Turkana and extending to ateker region, where our guest tonight will be focusing much on. And remember, this is where we go beyond borders, also to bring the voices and the visions shaping our shared future as the Turkana and as ateker community. Today, we are honored with a special guest, the ambassador, I will say the special envoy for peace at the ateker region, recently appointed by the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, to lead the peace development efforts in the ateker corridors, home to the Turkana of Kenya and the Karamoja of Uganda, and also the Toposa and the Nyangatom of the South Sudan. This is the region which is bound by blood, language, and culture, but also burdened by decades of marginalization, conflict, and underdevelopment. Ladies and gentlemen, Ambassador John Kionga Munyes, as he takes this historic and sensitive mandate, we want to ask him, with due respect, how he is able to turn out, the negative and the narrative around that that is taking this the region behind in terms of development and transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to welcome you to Ayok TV. And on this program, we are inviting you to follow us on Facebook at ayoktv.com and also on YouTube, which is at Ayok TV. On TikTok, we are at Ayok TV. So feel free to share also your comments on SMS through the number 07 12 450 450 or WhatsApp message will also work. We'll read and sample some of your SMSs or opinion comments at the tail end of this program. Karibu sana, Ambassador John Kionga Munyes.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
We are glad to host you this evening at Ayok TV.
Thank you.
How do you find the environment?
Good, cool.
Okay, you enjoy it?
I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sawa. First,
I look forward.
You look forward to a fruitful discussion.
Fruitful discussion.
All right. We are also looking forward for that insightful, knowledge from you as an elder and of course as a leader of this county. Going now to your recent appointment by the President of the Republic of Kenya. How do you find that appointment? You yourself, and also as a Turkana, one of the Turkana political legendaries.
Thank you for this interview, and I want to start by giving thanks to God for giving me my life and this appointment.
Okay.
And to thank the President of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto, for appointing me to this position of special envoy for peace in ateker region. I express a lot of joy and gratitude that he could appoint me for this position. Something I dearly like and have for many years put my life in peace building.
Okay.
And this is a wonderful appointment. I've been a minister, I've been a member of parliament, I served as MP for Turkana North, senator, minister, cabinet secretary. But this is very enriching for me. It's touching.
Other than the
charity, it's something that will see results that will help our people get out of the conflict and the underdevelopment we're seeing in our region.
Okay. So, Mheshimiwa, this is something that you have been doing before. Like, you've been traversing all these borders of Uganda, Sudan, Ethiopia. All these borders, they are so familiar to you. So what is so unique about this appointment and something that you've been doing before?
What is unique about this appointment and about the work I'm about to start is the fact that it's not going to be business as usual.
Okay.
We've had conflicts. We have had development partners. We've had government engaging pastoralists, engaging the ateker. By the way, ateker is a family of tribes. As you know, with the origin of that is said to have started from Abyssinia, Ethiopia. And coming through migrations, waves of migrations to the present location, daytime in South Sudan, Ethiopia, Uganda, and Kenya. The way we've treated these tribes is not the way we want to treat the engagement this time. It is not going to be the new inertia, the normal inertia, business as usual. We want to engage a new paradigm, a new dispensation that seeks to transform pastoralism, engaging them in dialogue, engaging them in ownership of the peace processes, development along the four countries, engaging cross-border activities that will be acceptable to our countries and to our people. It's going to be different this time.
As you say,
we want to structure it. We want a framework that will appoint the ateker Leaders Council. We've never had one. We talk of ateker, but we've never had a structure that brings us together. So we want to start with that. As soon as that one is done, then we develop now teams, chapters. The Karamojong have their leadership. South Sudan with Toposa, Turkana in Kenya, the Nyangatom of Ethiopia will have theirs. And then there will be a joint secretariat directed by the council. The council will appoint a secretariat.
So who will be at the top?
It is the council.
A council, and then
the countries will have their committees. The national committees. And then there will be a secretariat
which
to
will be
now
now
coordinate specific actions directed by the council. And on the tail end, the fourth level would be the joint border committees.
Okay.
Because what brings us together
Yeah.
is those borders.
Uh-huh.
We must have committees
Yes.
that deal with day-to-day activities.
Yeah, Mheshimiwa, I know we'll be discussing much around all those areas like cross-border
Yes.
security and development infrastructure and
Yes.
all that and shared resources
Yes.
along the ateker region.
Yes.
I want first, because you've mentioned about all these things that you are bringing on board. You're saying it is not going to be business as usual. You are introducing new things. You are bringing a new chapter into ateker as a family. So now, what has been missing before even this appointment? This seems now to be more official. But what has been missing before in your day-to-day activities?
What has been missing is leadership.
Yeah.
Leadership that takes responsibility.
Okay.
For the first time, we want to ensure the leaders and leadership take full responsibility in matters that concern ateker.
Okay.
We've had people just doing things without being accountable. We've lacked accountability.
Yeah.
People die on these borders. Livestock are raided across borders. Arms, illicit arms come through these borders. But leaders become protective of the tribes.
Yeah.
This is where we should start. The new order, the new paradigm will begin with the leadership.
Okay.
Take full responsibility.
Of whatever issues that are
and call it an ateker council. It's all of us responsible in this part of the world. That's how we should start.
Okay.
And now with that, then everything falls in
place.
In place.
Yeah.
The secretaries will give us solutions.
Of course,
we'll have. Of course, we envisage developing a master plan to address
for
the entire
1 year and
for the entire border.
Okay.
In the 4 countries that will now provide solutions to some of the problems.
Okay. Yeah, so Mheshimiwa, let me take you now to the first segment of our question.
Correct.
That was just a random one to have us a start to our conversation this evening. Going to the cross-border issue and insecurity and cattle rustling along the ateker border. Ambassador, the UN Office for Disarmament Affairs and the Small Arms Survey report gave statistics of over 500,000 illicit firearms are in civilian hands. That is in Karamoja cluster. How do you plan to address the unchecked movement of weapons across the porous border? You remember some weeks ago, the governor was so furious about the security points in Turkana County and he alleged that some people are moving firearms across Turkana to the other part of the country. And this now brings me to this question, that there are over 500,000 firearms that are said to be in the hands of, wrong people. So what do you think can be done to protect our borders?
First, we need to say this particular act is a criminal.
Okay.
And no country should condone illicit firearms, proliferation of firearms, illegal firearms. So it's incumbent upon the countries, the 4 countries, to put an elaborate, system to check out these criminals.
Okay.
And actually, to manage this problem of arms requires the same thing I've said.
Okay.
That take full responsibility. These are our governments.
Okay.
It's now the ateker framework with all the structures we're about to put starting July, to work with these governments to ensure these illegalities don't happen.
Okay.
And those arms already in our countries should find a way of being removed.
How?
We have many ways of doing it.
How much more?
We can apply amnesty.
Okay.
So that people return guns. We can do exchange of for development, so that people begin to realize they can get back the guns to government and instead get some support.
Okay.
We can do voluntary disarmaments.
Okay. Which has been there.
Which has been there, and it has actually collected so much.
Yeah.
And in those voluntary ways of collecting guns, government become proactive in educating the public on why it's not important to have guns in civilian hands. And then government also should prove, the five governments should prove that they can provide security to the citizens.
Okay.
Because that will help them
even return guns.
To actually get the confidence
of returning their firearms.
Of their lives and security of the property. Therefore, why have a gun? So there are many approaches we can undertake. But this requires a joint and concurrent disarmament process. You can't disarm Uganda and you leave Kenya. You can't disarm Uganda and South Sudan as guns. So we must have a uniform way of doing it. It has to be escalated to the African Union. We have to escalate it to the UN, so that all these actors look at this crime, look at this thing as a matter of joint intervention.
No, because Mheshimiwa, looking at the 500,000 firearms, comparing to even the population of these people living along the border, this is a lot of firearms in the wrong hands. And, you know, whenever a conflict happens, a lot of things, you know, are deemed to happen when these arms are actually not, you know, are checked. So going to my second question, in 2022, over 3,000 people were displaced in Turkana due to cross-border raids. And how will your office ensure peace and also to ensure security responses are community-led and more merely materialized? Because even connecting to the question that you are speaking about, firearm, just imagine quite a number of people, 3,000 displaced along the border. That is, you know, that is moving them out of their livelihoods. So what initiatives are there to ensure that, like now, maybe there is no more displacement along the borders?
You know, first we need to say this has been another paradigm. Now moving into the new order. And that order will include respect for boundaries. You can't move somebody outside their own territory. And that becomes a sovereign issue, that the government allowed another group to actually move people out of their land. That will not be acceptable. But in instances where the ateker family has come together and they are living together, they have formed their leadership, committees of elders, sharing resources together, with the joint grazing committee, with the joint border peace committee, then these problems will start reducing, because you cannot do that when you're living together. We have also talked of joint grazing. The kraals along those borders should start coming together. Every time groups of pastoralists move together and graze together, is limited cattle rustling. Every time we separate them, they tend to start imagining that there's another enemy is across. Then incentive for them to start the conflicts. But this happened during that difficult time. And I must commend the county government and the national government that this reduced. There's been a lot of peace activity along these borders. You talk of Kibish, the best now.
Okay.
For the last 2 years, we've been moving inside Ethiopia and outside, sharing resources together.
Okay.
You see the Toposa, very difficult situation in the past.
Okay.
People are now moving into Lokichogyo. They want to go as far as Kakuma. Our people have moved into Kapweta. Uganda has some small challenge a bit, but our people in Kobebe, some are going to Kabong. It is not as bad.
Okay.
But if leaders provide dialogue, come together, and take responsibilities, that's my Bible, full responsibility
Okay.
to ensure it is my problem, and therefore I should address it. A member of parliament should talk to the member of parliament across.
Yeah.
The LC4, LC3 should be dealing with our MCS across here.
Okay.
Our county commissioner and the RDC, for instance, the county commissioner in Kapweta, and you know, that has to continue. Then we will start seeing reduction in conflicts.
Okay. You've talked about the peace committees across the borders, but I meant to understand these groups has been existing even way before, and we've seen them coming for these celebrations. Like Olukirema Peace Accord and the other one at IHA. These groups has been there. And are you speaking of forming a new ones, or maybe again, or
we want a very democratic way of appointing them.
Okay.
If a border hotspot as a committee that's supposed to join with the other committee across, we must get people, not political appointees in these committees. And in the past, everybody elected himself.
Okay.
But now we want to institutionalize the framework, the structures of ateker. In the office of the president in Kenya, these structures will be law. They'll be funded by the exchequer. The East African Parliament community will know them, that there are these structures in the East African region. So those committees were not as effective.
Okay.
And some of them were partly to blame for what happened. But now we want to appoint and we want to coordinate them. We want to spearhead the activities. And it will be actually known to everybody that this is so and so. Even if they're seen on the street, you will physically see them. They could be uniformed. And they will be given capacity to account for the actions.
Okay.
Yes. So, I mean, it's not going to be a business as usual.
Yeah, talking about peace building, we know there have been several agreements that have been existing in the ateker region. Talk of the Kapweta Declaration of 2019, the Moroto Peace Accord of 2018. So, is your office planning to revitalize or further to put more energy, or maybe make this effective, or do you think the existence has not been as effective as you may want?
We want to revitalize them. We want to also engage in new agreements.
Okay.
That like resource sharing agreement among Uganda, Karamojong, and Turkana. That will be signed very soon.
Okay.
It's in the process at the cabinet level.
Resource sharing agreement.
Resource sharing agreement.
Yeah. Who is coming up with?
Kenya and Uganda.
Oh, okay.
And then the two heads of states will sign that. In South Sudan, you said it is a
the South Sudan is the Moroto Peace Accord.
Moroto Peace Accord.
There is Kapweta.
The Kapweta Peace Accord
of 2019.
All these accords will go back to them.
Okay.
The problem with these accords, they were signed and left redundant. What we want to do now is to look at them and find ways of revising them and looking at them and operationalizing them. Even this accord we are doing, we are signing, without a system of operationalizing it. We must have it with protocols that go with it. Take, for instance, the Grace in the Natural Resource Sharing Agreement that will be signed here.
Okay.
We must operationalize it by putting the protocols. How do you do transhumance, for instance? How do you move into Uganda, for instance?
Okay.
We must understand, there should be steps There should be, we must have a declaration of persons moving across borders. How many people are moving?
Okay.
A car is moving with 10 members of his family. They will have 50 cows, 1,000 cows. As you move into another country, that country declares, gazettes an area.
Okay.
And there's a declaration that this area has been assigned. So you negotiate for grazing rights.
Okay.
So all those protocols will come alongside the agreements. So, but in the past, we just do an agreement, it's signed, and everybody disappears.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to bring people together. We can't account for what we have said. So this particular time, it's not just a document collecting dust on the shelves. It will be a document
to be anchored on the
for the ateker council and the secretariat. And you'll see what will happen.
Talking about the resource sharing agreement, I want you to talk to give more insight on it, especially you are talking about the monitored maybe or ease access of these communities across to the other communities with no any delay, disruption, or maybe so I want you to speak in terms of like, would they be required to have maybe a kind of a pass to the other community and to come to the other side? What will be like in case there is any conflict that may arise in that is connected to the resources?
Very important question.
Yes,
this resource sharing agreement is an agreement that will bind our people.
Okay.
And as I said, we'll have procedures, protocols, systems that will enrich that document.
Okay.
You realize it is meant to make us share resources. Water, pastures, is meant to ensure we have coordinated ways of providing services to our people.
Okay.
Assuming the Karamojong actually sent down to Lokiriama, it's incumbent upon the country, the hosting country, Kenya now, to actually provide for the people of Karamoja. In the number defined.
Land and water.
Land, water, medicine, all that. Treating those animals.
Okay.
So it's a very mechanical, very systematic way of doing it.
Okay.
Things. And when you are finished grazing in that area, you do an exit strategy that is open.
Okay.
You don't sneak out.
You come and declare in front of the...
You don't sneak out.
Or you write to the council.
It is agreed. And again, I'm saying I don't know. These are the protocols we're going to develop together with the pastoralists. We're going to develop with them.
Okay.
So it is going to be a wonderful system.
Yeah, but Mheshimiwa umesema tayari it is already a document that is about to be endorsed.
Yes.
So how are you going back to the community, to the pastoralists too?
But you see, you have to agree on what on how to operationalize it.
Okay. Okay.
Because after the signing, we will go into sensitization of this. We need to sensitize again.
Okay.
That this document says this. Okay, this document says you can't go into Uganda with guns. Because the policy across, the government policy in Uganda says you cannot move into Uganda with guns. So we need to sensitize them on that.
Yeah, but ikisainiwa Mheshimiwa, it is already a document that has to be used.
Yes.
Yeah. So I thought maybe that will have come before.
No. Until it is signed.
Yeah.
Because signing is also communal.
Okay.
Or everybody will go there with the governments, with the governments of the day, to actually understand and accept. Then we sign. After signing, 100,000 Turkanas would need to be sensitized. The leaders have been told. We have understood.
Okay.
The crowd leaders have understood. We need to get back to our communities to sensitize.
Or like to make them aware
to
of
make
what
them aware, to
is
make
all
them
about.
understand,
Okay.
so that I don't put my pistol here and move into Uganda.
Okay.
Or because we have also decided in the document, I don't want to discuss the document now,
Okay.
there are 6 exit routes. To go to Uganda, you not go from Susua, Swam, West Pokot, Kacheliba, you come to Kobebe, Nakitongo, Oropoi, all the way to Pire. you can only go through the accepted route.
Okay.
If you are found sneaking into Uganda through a Panya route, not acceptable, not agreed upon by the agreement, then you are liable for prosecution.
Okay.
You'll be treated as a criminal sneaking into another country. In terms of identification, we'll look into that, and they must be aware of getting documents.
How about now taking responsibilities? Taking responsibilities. You say like when the Turkanas are in the other land, like Uganda, the Ugandan government takes the responsibilities and then makes sure that the host community takes the responsibilities of whatever welfare and everything. I'm now speaking in terms of responsibility and resources that are required to facilitate that. Like for our instance, that has to go into the budget. For example, Turkana, Assembly has to, push this through, through maybe a bill or makes it into law, and for budget lines to be included into the budget. I don't know if you have thought about.
Again, that's why we've started the council and the joint secretariat to enable us coordinate cross-border support for our people when they are cross. But Makiu, what I've said, the moment you exit into that country, you'll be under the administration of a grazing or a border committee.
Okay.
The border committee with the border committee across will have a joint border committee to analyze the movements and grazing, address conflicts among its pastoralists, and if they are difficult, escalate them to the UPDF or the government.
Okay.
So all those will be taken care of. But in terms of the funding and all that, this is done in the framework of East Africa. Resources will be expended by those countries through this structure I've said, through partners who will be supporting us. It is going to be a wonderful framework.
Okay.
For support.
So asante sana Mheshimiwa. Let me hope that maybe tutazapata hiyo document so that now we talk to the people and then we make them so familiar about it. Maybe even or after the signing of the documents.
Correct.
So Mheshimiwa, we were talking about the resource sharing, of which was our next question. Understanding these, communities, they have like these countries, they have different, seasons in terms of like droughts. So we are told, according to the statistics, that 70% of grazing land in ateker region is shared across borders. That is like, according to the IGAD report of 2021, shared across borders. Like if it is Ethiopia, Uganda, sharing with Kenya on the Turkana side. South Sudan, that is 70%. You can imagine that is a huge size of land. Now, I'm asking in terms of whenever there is a drought, and I know drought never happens same to in those all countries. Like how are you going to manage the migration pattern of like movement of people whenever there is drought in those borders?
Yes, it's through the resource sharing agreements. That is what we want to enforce, so that every country has a resource sharing agreement that will facilitate grazing rights. That will facilitate movement into other countries. With our structures of kraals and elders. But by the way, what I wanted to do in Turkana first, through the county government and the county commissioner's office, is to identify the number of kraals in Turkana. We want to identify them. There are about 18 kraals.
Across Turkana?
Across Turkana. Along the borderland, along the marginal areas you're talking about, about 18 to 20. The moment you have identified this, our baseline, then we'll identify the leadership of these kraals. And then along that border, we'll identify the exit routes acceptable to them. If it is now GA for this, I mean Uganda, South Sudan will have others, of course Ethiopia also. Then we'll now process them through these exit routes. But again, we need another challenge to address. We need to address the Turkana governance structure. In the past, we had a very strong system in Turkana.
The past you're talking about which period?
Yes, a period of 70s, 70s and 60s.
Okay.
The Turkana kraals were so solid under command of a leader. This makes it easy to organize movements. This makes it easy to discipline, punish, hold people responsible. You raid across South Sudan and your animals have been brought inside here with that kind of leadership. It's a strong leadership that will say, bring those animals and they're brought tomorrow. Nowadays it's young people, drunk people, politically motivated people managing crowds.
Oh.
So now we'll have a capacity, we'll have time to develop capacity amongst these crowds.
Okay.
So that they are capacitated to address issues affecting the grazing groups, the grazing blocks.
Okay.
So there's a lot of work to be done.
Capacity in terms of what?
Well, training them, providing them with the knowledge of their skills, to take responsibility of the kraals. Like in every kraal, maybe you'll have groups, interest groups, powerful people. You constitute a committee that is respected.
Okay.
And it is now government to give them capacity by respecting them. Then everybody respects them.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a way we want to do it. It's not business as usual.
Yeah. But
it is going to be a modernized, to modernize pastoralism, to ensure we have efficient ways of managing organizations or organized groups. These are organized groups, these are cooperatives, for instance. This is like a cooperative.
Yeah.
A Kadai, for instance, or a Pamulele, or take, for instance, the kraal of Ekeno. These are people who should be given responsibility, supported by government. It's a governance structure. Traditional governance structure.
Are the people you are talking about existing or?
They are existing. They are existing.
Okay.
So we need to work with them. Spiritual leaders, we need to work with them. They will provide the organization we are talking about.
Yeah.
They will lead their people. They will lead them the right way. So we don't allow them to lead them to to wrong ways.
Okay.
Like encourage them to raid. So that we are working with these people to achieve a cause.
So, Mheshimiwa, unapoongea about the issues to do with boundaries, we are talking about the customary boundaries and state-owned boundaries. Unaona. So, how are you going to reconcile them when, for example, in relations to the resource shared agreement, we're talking about people moving from one place to another. Na sheria zingine, maybe unaweza pata sehemu ile ingine ardhi inamilikiwa na maybe na serikali. Na hapa kwa mfano Turkana, this is a community land, unaona. Na how are you going to manage that, understanding each different countries wako manage na their own?
You know we cannot interfere with grazing across by law, because the constitution of that country guarantees their sovereignty to their locals. So there's nothing like traditional grazing lands and government or state. If the state now accepts you go to what we call the traditional Turkana traditional grazing grounds, then we at times when we now cross those borders, then we engage the resource sharing agreement.
Okay.
The law takes over. But those traditional can only be applicable if it is within the state. Intra. But when it is inter, then that's another country.
Okay.
Then it becomes another ballgame.
So, Mheshimiwa, if I take you back, you are talking about Kibish border point, mifugo imerudi, umeongea about sehemu za Sudan, Kapoeta, kila kitu iko sawa. But now there is the Todonyang side, ambaye haujazungumzia. I don't know from your point
in our definition of ateker,
yes,
ateker is people speaking the same language, same origin, and all that.
Yes.
So they are defined. There are four of us. including the Teso who are now agro-pastoralists,
Yes.
but they're out of the borders
Yes.
we're talking about. Those are also our brothers.
Okay.
But we have neighbors like the Dasanach, the Pokot, the Didinga of Ethiopia, of South Sudan,
Yeah.
who are in the equation of this cattle rustling.
Yes.
So we cannot remove them from this. So when we talk of a violent border like Ethiopia, Dasanach,
Yes.
we need to find ways of working with them.
Okay.
And we can work with them through engagements with their governments. And using also our family, the ateker Nyangaton, to actually loop them so that we all achieve the same thing. We need to work with governments, governments in surveillance. We need the presence of governments in these areas. We need surveillance so that we ensure they are not doing the crossing without permission.
Yeah.
But what has been happening along our borders is the Ethiopia border of Dasanach has reported so many deaths and loss of livestock. Our border with the West Pokot and East Baringo is another border with very violent and very volatile arrangement. So actually what we're doing is we want to see what can be done to radically identify
Your microphone goes out.
specific root causes of why we've continued losing many people. Massacres have happened in this area of Ethiopia, Dasanach, not the Nyangaton, and then with the people of West Pokot, and the killings we're seeing in Baringo, with sometimes people, losing lives in the kind of numbers we see. If you look at the root causes, I'm now starting to. We've not undertaken a full comprehensive. Next week we are meeting the Dasanach community leaders in Kakuma to look at why it's happening. Well, we have asked this question, but sometimes it's good to ask it again. To escalate it to a bilateral level where we can now ask them in the presence of their government, what is your problem?
Okay.
And the question we want to ask this time, are we experiencing a boundary dispute? Are we, secondly, are we engaging in natural or resource-based conflict?
So those are two distinct.
The moment you tell me you are inside Ethiopia, then that's another ball game. Then the Turkana will be asked, you are inside Ethiopia fighting there? Don't fight. How to do this is the way to do it. Engage your brothers on sharing of resources. If it is about fighting over fish resources, is there a way the two countries, through a bilateral way or through a communal agreement, shared resource agreement again, is there a way we can share?
Okay.
You know, until somebody knows I'm in the wrong, this conflict is going to
continue. Until they are made to understand.
Until they are made to understand. Because Ethiopia has no problem with Kenya.
Okay.
We don't have a boundary dispute.
It is a resource.
It is in 1971 that this problem came again during Haile Selassie and Kenyatta, Jomo Kenyatta. The border was ratified in 1971. After the ratification of 1971, we've said all this time, we attempted to do it a few years ago, and then the federal government was okay, but the community did not accept. So it was not completed. Ethiopia has a pact with Kenya. We cannot fight Ethiopia. They cannot fight us. But the communities need to be sensitized to understand these countries don't fight, but they respect borders. They respect borders. So that could be the problem there. So again, it is on my table.
Yeah.
And it's a matter I want to say categorically that this has to end. This must stop. Yeah. We must stamp out insecurity. That kind of killing, mass killing, has to stop.
Okay. So, Mheshimiwa, there was quite a proposals from the area MP from Turkana North, Honorable Nabuin Paul, and he had suggested about the patrols, that government should purchase, boats, engine boats to patrol along the lake and to also facilitate the fishing activities of the Turkana fishermen, and also to ensure there is quite a good engagement between the Toposa, the Dasanach, or the militia, from the other side. There was also a suggestion to have a military base in Todonya to also help deter the enemies to the other side. Quite a number of things, and even projects that he was thinking about. I don't know if he has shared with you this, but it was out in the media.
We shared a lot. I was with him in the last meeting.
Yes.
We were burying 4 killed by the same Dasanach, and this matter was raised again.
Okay.
It is important. Let's have security beefed up. Let's have our installations on the ground to deter, to do all that.
Okay.
But what is very important is the mindset.
Mindset.
Are we changing the mindset of a community that is has this belief that their land is going to cross? They're being taken out of their land. Are we changing the belief of a community that believes in some cultural? That's what we've been told, and we want to check it with the Dasanach. After every circumcision, we have increased raids. Raids happening. Is that a factor? All these things will be discussed so that we understand. As we deploy our people, we want to share life with the brothers and sisters. You don't know why God put them together. God puts people together. You border each other, whether you're killing each other or not. You continue bordering each other for all this. God wanted it like that. So there must be a way of engaging dialogue and a software that will bring sanity and sobriety so that we share resources together, we share a border, we have immigration and customs, they come across, we go across, and that way it will be shared prosperity for everybody.
Okay. Mheshimiwa, at a certain barrier, you spoke about the development that are happening in the other country. You spoke about an airport at the Kidepo, and also other things that are likely to come and change the face of Turkana. I want to take you to whenever conflicts happen. We have so many things that get affected. One including the education aspect, and people, get displaced. Some people die, and when we speak about education, children suffer most. And considering again we are a pastoralist and nomadic community, people are just always on the mode of moving. So I want you to talk in aspect of education, like what do you think could be done to ensure that there is no child from a pastoralist community that gets to suffer whenever conflicts happen, and how will you ensure that there is swift learning in our schools within the borders?
Education is a very important aspect of modernity. People who have gone to school have changed their lives. Pastoralists, with all the riches they have, haven't really modernized and helped themselves to get out of the current situation.
Okay.
So there must be an affirmative action to ensure we take our children to school. And this has been happening, but it has not happened in a manner that will bring change in a very significant manner. What we need to do as policy, as a directive from the ateker countries, is actually to say we must have a system that allows free, compulsory, and boarding. it must be those three. Free, compulsory, and boarding. And we must all take responsibility, full responsibility.
Yeah.
I always say that.
From
government, from community, all of us must take full responsibility.
Yes, yes.
And I want to give you a correlation of conflicts and education.
Yes.
In instances where kids have not gone to school, like Tiati, it was once said, then you have high levels of insecurity.
Yes.
Because the young people don't go to school. But if you took all these kids to school, we break the cycle of raiders.
Yes.
You break the cycle by cutting down the labor force. The labor force is young people raiding. Old people don't raid. I cannot raid.
Yeah. So they are young.
It's a young person who is raiding.
Yes.
Cut off that labor force.
Okay.
And you're broken the cycle. There will be less raiding.
Okay. How? How would you cut that?
Because there are no people to raid. If you allow people to go to school, there are less numbers who will take guns and go raiding across. The other way is to look at it around again and say, if you make it peaceful for our ateker people, if it becomes peaceful, then you don't need so many kids to follow those animals. 1,000 cows, you will not need 100 boys to follow them.
Okay.
Because nobody kills them, takes them. You will need maybe 5 boys. The rest will have what? They'll be redundant.
Yeah.
They will go to school, they grow, and they engage in wealth creation.
Okay.
That is the paradigm we're talking about.
Okay. And your office is going to...
And this is going to be done in a big way.
Okay.
We must force everybody to go to school. We must ensure the old ones who have graduated look after the animals.
Okay. How?
Cut down the cycle.
But
I mean, an old man of 30 years can look after animals instead of taking a minor to school.
Okay.
By the time the minor is 15 years, 20 years, he has graduated to primary and secondary. Even if he drops out, he has achieved something in school.
Okay.
But we cannot be graduating warriors. I mean, if you don't take people to school, they graduate as warriors.
But
and then we will continue having a violent behavior, violent paradigm, violent way of doing things. Because you have not been civilized in the way of school. You are not the elitist, you're not elitist. I mean, affluent, that's the word.
Okay.
So, I mean, this has to change.
Yeah, statistics inaonyesha kwamba there are 70% of the population along the borderline. There are 70% are young people. And this is the population unasema kwamba we have to cut off so that they think of an alternative.
My friend, if you brought incentive of free education, compulsory, and boarding, boarding attracts them to school to eat. Yes? Okay. Some of them follow those animals because they have nothing to eat. They will have something to eat in school. You cut down that insecurity by half. Instead of engaging 100 soldiers, the 100 soldiers will be engaging only 20 or 30 warriors. But now 100 soldiers are engaging 1,000 warriors. The numbers cannot.
And how about the mindset?
The mindset changes because people have gone to school. Then you can start engaging differently. Sanctity of life comes. You'll be going to school and going to church. But your behavior will change. That is good. I'm saved. I'm a good person. But out there, you're only dancing in the night and saying how your brother killed the other day. You will be in that kind of war situation.
Lakini mheshimiwa, hawa ni watu wenye wako too deep into pastoralism. Now, talking about the mindset, even for yourself, we can cite several examples. Like when you are going to school, I'm sure your parents walikuwa wanasema kwamba usiende shule, chunga ng'ombe. Si ni kweli, mheshimiwa? Yeah. So the mindset, I'm talking about the mindset in the back at home.
The mindset has to change. You know what?
Yes.
We are not the only pastoralists in this kind of behavior. The Maasai, the Samburu, many tribes have now changed, and they're still pastoralists. Nobody stops you from looking after your animals. Do you know, even in this town in Lodwar, we are pastoralists here? A pastoralist means you are looking after animals for your value, for your food, for all this, for your livelihood.
Yes.
Do you know in this town there are people looking after 50 goats and 50 cows?
I know.
Just along the rivers here?
Yeah.
With no interest of having a gun or what? And there are people still doing that across there, behaving as warriors and as soldiers. They want to look like they're soldiers, they're generals. These are games we can't entertain forever.
So,
and that's why we talk of transformation.
Yes.
We want to modernize pastoralism. Look after your animals, take your kids to school. Look after your animals, but continue living in peace, in harmony with your neighbors. Nobody stops you from having your animals.
Because that size tuko na vocational training, the TVETs. So I don't know, are you also
planning to... Yes, we want to bring nomadic education,
a
system that is hybrid, so that you can start there in your early years, and then graduate into a normal system. That can be done. With support of partners, we can do it.
Mheshimiwa, because that was my next question about now, where will you be getting resources to facilitate all that? Talk about the council, they need operation, a budget to run their operations. You need incentives for those, for those groups in the border, peace groups. You need to train these people to run awareness across all over. Where will you get the budget? And understanding that this is a new office that was just created purposely.
The Kenya government, to start with, seeks to institutionalize the structures of ateker. Because in the past, we just left it to the NGOs the NGOs and the communities to run them. More often, they will actually develop a partnership, maybe with the community, put a small committee, and after 2 years, they disappear for another 3 years and that. But the Kenya government now wants to take it seriously. Peace is expensive. We have to fund it. So we will get support from the governments. We want to align with the East Africa community. That's where our resources will come from. We want to align with the Ministry of the President's Interior. It is governments that will support us. It is partners who want to help us live in a peaceful manner. It is government that want to help us demarcate our borders. The boundaries we have, we want to demarcate our borders. It is the African Union's interest that all borders are safe and have been demarcated to cut down conflict. It is government that want us to have a peaceful coexistence, so that infrastructure that cuts across countries can seamlessly, occur. So we'll have government supporting it. We'll have partners supporting us. And Makiu, this is an area to support because of the geopolitical significance for this country. It has a very tremendous, potential to turn around the economy of Kenya. We have the livestock, we have the fish, we have minerals, we have the crown of mankind in Turkana. We have all this that can change the Republic of Kenya and the whole ateker. So that is why it's incumbent upon Kenya, the government of Kenya, to support the structures.
Sawa Mheshimiwa, I want us to take a short break. Then when we get back, we will sample a number of comments or reactions from the members of the public who are following us on our social pages. And then we will delve into now, how do you think these partners will come on board and to work with your office? We want to digest further how they will have to come and be part of your movement. Otherwise, back to you, our listeners, we are so grateful to have you for on board. We have quite a lot to discuss. I'm with Ambassador here, and it is quite a privilege to be with him in our studio tonight. And I think from what we have shared so far, I'm sure you've already developed a picture of what ateker is all about and whatever the issues that are ateker and the office of the special envoy will handle now going forward. Back to you, to our producers. We'll be taking a break for 2 to 3 minutes, and then when we get back, we will continue with our conversation. Asante sana. Keep following Ayok TV on all our social pages, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Asanteni sana. Nashukuru.
It is very difficult for people to appreciate success, but somehow people celebrate failure.
Na watu wanafikiri mimi nimeanza tu kama gavana. I started as a small person called a councillor. Mimi nilikuwa councillor, nilikuwa nakula shilingi 7,000 na nilikuwa nakula na watu 7,000 shillings. Ikaenda ikawa 14. Ikaenda ile mingi niliwacha sio ilikuwa 40 something. Na sisi ndio tuliongeza kwa sababu ilikuwa local. Ndio ilikuwa inaitwa local government.
Ekas down. Ke yaka da bagenda kujala kara. Ngedla senet. Hotere arayaka jila mana sana lakini emam ngisalutio emam ngarupia na chonoko lakini arayaka la mana na kuj.
Abu wake ni kapolo kamtuga. Sana sana mheshimiwa gavana. Issue and the MPs. Ka council naga na elders. Kwa tere tijulo bene anyunia.
It is very difficult for people to appreciate success, but somehow people celebrate failure.
Na watu wanafikiri mimi nimeanza tu kama gavana. I started as a small person called a councillor. Mimi nilikuwa councillor, nilikuwa nakula shilingi 7,000 na nilikuwa nakula na watu 7,000 shillings. Ikaenda ikawa 14. Ikaenda ile mingi niliwacha sio ilikuwa 40 something. Na sisi ndio tuliongeza kwa sababu ilikuwa local. Ndio ilikuwa inaitwa local government.
Ekas down. Ke yaka da bagenda kujala kara. Ngedla senet. Hotere arayaka jila mana sana lakini emam ngisalutio emam ngarupia na chonoko lakini arayaka la mana na kuj.
Abu wake ni kapolo kamtuga. Sana sana mheshimiwa gavana. Issue and the MPs. ka council naga na elders ko dare ti julo be nyanyu ya.
It is very difficult for people to appreciate success, but somehow people celebrate failure.
Na watu wanafikiri mimi nimeanza tu kama gavana. I started as a small person called a councillor. Mimi nilikuwa councillor, nilikuwa nakula shilingi 7,000 na nilikuwa nakula na watu 7,000 shillings. Ikaenda ikawa 14. Ikaenda ile mingi niliwacha sisi ilikuwa 40 something. Na sisi ndio tuliongeza kwa sababu ilikuwa local. Ndio ilikuwa inaitwa local government.
Ekas down. Ke yeka da bagenda kujala kara. Ngedla senet. Hotere araya kajla mana sana lakini emam ngisalutio emam ngarupia na chonoko lakini araya kajla mana na kuj
Abu wake ni kapolo kamtuga sana sana mheshimiwa gavana issue and the MPs ka council naga na elders ko dare ti julo be nyanyu ya.
It is very difficult for people to appreciate success, but somehow people celebrate failure.
Na watu wanafikiri mimi nimeanza tu kama gavana. I started as a small person called a councillor. Mimi nilikuwa councillor, nilikuwa nakula shilingi 7,000 na nilikuwa nakula na watu 7,000 shillings. Ikaenda ikawa 14. Ikaenda ile mingi niliwacha sio ilikuwa 40 something. Na sisi ndio tuliongeza kwa sababu ilikuwa local. Ndio ilikuwa inaitwa local government.
Yakas down. Ke yakas abwa genda kujala kara. Ngedla senet. Hotere are yakas la mana sana lakini emam ngisalutio emam ngaropia na chonoko lakini are yakas la mana na kuj.
Wafu wake ni kapolo wa mtuga. Sana sana mheshimiwa gavana. Issue and the MPs. Ka council naga na elders. Kwa tere tichulo bani anyunia.
It is very difficult for people to appreciate success, but somehow people celebrate failure.
Yes. Naongoja. Aya, asante sana mpenzi mtazamaji, karibu ndani ya Ayok TV. Tumetoka katika kipindi cha mapumziko, sasa tumerejea katika kipindi cha pili na ni cha mwisho ambapo tunakualika katika mazungumzo yetu ya moja kwa moja. Kumbuka niko na Mheshimiwa Ambassador John Munyesi Kionga EGH ambaye bila shaka ametunukiwa mamlaka ya kuongoza mpaka au tuseme border ya Uganda, Sudan na Kenya na Ethiopia. Na hili kuhakikisha kwamba mambo ya usalama na pia eneo hili limenawiri kimaendeleo. Kwa hivyo When we went out for a break, I promised that we will get back and read, sample a number of comments from you, and then I will let him to respond to some that may need, maybe an elaborate response. But just keep in touch. This is Ayok TV, shaping the future of Turkana County and beyond. Share your comments. We are still on Ayok TV, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. We are, in all those platforms. And this is one way for us to enlighten and also to know what you may require or what you may want to know about the topic that is on air right now. Straight to our comments, Mheshimiwa, karibu tena.
Asante sana.
Yeah, let me read some of them. There are so many that I may not read. So there is Michael Esinyen Mido. Anasema kwamba this guy, I think he means you. He has a concept. He understands whatever he is talking about. Alafu we have Terqual Edie anasema, great man of Turkana, no doubt. He is representing the whole ateker community. We have Shidi anasema ana watch. We have Lord RC Imana anasema CS Muñez is highlighting a lot of sense on the scope of his current position that is so visionary. Alafu tuko na ndugu Ben anasema watching from Nawayatira village in Lokichar ward. Tuko na David Kiro anasema watching from Abuja, Nigeria, great initiative to unite our communities across the region. And then we have Martin, the villager, anasema he is a peace-loving man. During the Desanach versus Turkana fishermen issue in February this year, the Ethiopians gave way for negotiation just because he was part of the negotiators. I wish he bridges the impasse of Nadapal, South Sudan border, and also the taming the GA. So I think, I don't know, you have to respond to that. Yeah.
No, it's a good comment. I think we want to engage more dialogue with our brothers across. We've done so much work in Uganda and South Sudan. Ethiopia has some challenge, but I think we want to put more effort in engaging them. Yeah, putting the structures.
It's so specific about the Nadapal and South Sudan border, and there's a lot of impasse. Seems like there's a lot of issues that is emanating from that border.
Correct. You know what we've done is first to sensitize the communities. The communities have been sensitized. They're together. They've started mingling and sharing resources together. But you know what the emphasis is talking about is the infrastructure, the construction of the road. And that has been a problem. The 11-kilometer, road. But you see, what the two countries are doing is not 11 kilometers. It's now securing funds. A budget to construct the road from Nadapal to Juba. So it's not a small road we are talking about now. So, and the moment the Toposa understood there was that plan, then I think the whole problem just collapsed. And I think it's collapsed already. So we know we will construct the road. They just want a long road that will go through their territory, go through Capueta, Eastern Equatorial State, all the way to Juba.
So anaitwa Echo anasema watching live from Lodwar town, and Lodwar town msalimie mheshimiwa.
Asante.
Yeah, so Peter anasema tell us any tangible project that we can even remember you have lodged or served in Turkana County. I think that one we are talking in reference to what the position you have right now. So Kalem anasema, but the issue with the Merile along the border need to be critical, not to be taken slightly. It requires a lot of energy and empowerment, and we will and a well communication between the two sides.
Next week we have a meeting next week. On Thursday with the leaders of the zone, the Ethiopian zone of Jinka. All that zone will be coming, the leadership will come and we'll have a meeting of leaders, stakeholders in Kakuma.
Okay.
And those are the specific approaches we're taking to bring them together, and so that we critically understand, address this problem in a very holistic manner.
Okay.
Understanding the root causes, understanding the stakeholders, and how to get out of this mess.
Tuseme ndio umeanza.
Ndio tumeanza.
Aya, anasema nani Kalo anasema watching from Ngikipi village. Are the Merile among the ateker community? What will Munyas do to give us peace with Merile who are not in the even ateker community?
As I say, we have borders, we have neighbors of ateker, and we want to loop them in. We want to ensure, as we engage as ateker, we take the peace initiatives across to other communities like the Dasanaj. Because we share a border.
Okay.
As long as we're sharing a border, that border is important for the two countries.
Okay.
And therefore we need to work closely to bring peace so that the two countries benefit. And then of course the two communities will have a shared benefit.
Okay.
Shared benefit in terms of the sharing of resources, of the grass, like the fish resources now. They will have shared and therefore created wealth for themselves.
Okay. So there are so many people following. I told you we are sampling just a few.
Yes.
We have Martin again and Sema ask him what is the benefit of Ateker Council to the Kenyan government? Is it over a burden? The Karamoja brothers have been neglected by their government. Our brothers from Nyangatom, Topoza have also been neglected. What is the benefit for the Kenyan government? Not necessarily in the Turkana community.
The new dispensation of creating frameworks, strong structures for Ateker is not going to be a burden.
Okay.
It's actually going to help the countries manage our borders, manage resources together with the people. And I think it's wrong to say Uganda has neglected the Karamojong.
Okay.
Actually, Uganda case study is the best case study.
Okay.
We actually, copying many of the things from
how is that
our brothers.
The best? How is that
because they have an elaborate wealth creation program. They have an NRM policy of 10 years that is meant to actually modernize pastoralism, support the pastoralists there, make them agro-pastoralists, create industries, transform the mining sector in Karamoja. Already they are getting a new city called the Marble City. Uganda will have a city in Moroto. And with infrastructure, everything. And there's a lot of resources through partners getting to northern Uganda. They're doing an airport to export beef. And many of the beef, the catchment is supposed to be Turkana and South Sudan. Turkana is also trying to, likewise, we want to do ours in Lokichogio and improve the airport in Lokichogio. So we're in competition here. So Uganda is ahead in some of the things. So we cannot.
So we are benchmarking.
We are benchmarking. They're doing a disarmament program for their people. We are also doing voluntary. So there's a lot that is happening.
I think
but the government has to put money into the Ateker Council to enable government now undertake some of the difficult programs like disarmament, like even matters of the demarcation of international boundary. You need structures to support government, and that's why money must be put to help strengthen the Ateker institutions.
To my knowledge, I think the overburdening is something related to the budget, the resources that has to be injected into the council to make it operational.
There's already a budget in the Ministry of, there's a department dealing with that. There's a budget for peace. There's a peace budget in the Office of the President. And that is the money which we now want to actually channel in a very strategic manner to support grassroots structures. Okay. So it's not something new we're doing. It's just using a vote, an existing vote. So there's no burden.
Okay.
It's money in OP.
Okay, that is great. Good to hear that. So we have Michael Pio and some Mheshimiwa, can all government shoot straight? The magic bullet to the lasting peace along the borders is to initiate infrastructural development that will inspire private sector development, which ultimately promotes alternative livelihoods. Otherwise, you will fail.
One of our key thematic areas is actually the infrastructure.
Okay.
To do roads that link our countries. That is going to be in our master plan. On the top, on the priority list, that we will do the Moroto Road, we'll do the Kotido Road to Kakuma, we'll do South Sudan Road, which is an highway to Juba, we'll do into Ethiopia a very good road, and a bridge at Kibish.
Okay.
These are the...
Bridge at Kibish.
Yes. These are the few infrastructure projects we want to undertake. In fact, the county government here is allocating 80 million to do a small section of Nakitonga Road. The governor has already promised that.
Okay.
So, this is what we want to do. To spur economic growth, we must create those roads. And it will change and create wealth just like that.
Okay. We will come to that because part of what you envision for the ateker region and more specifically for the Turkana community. So we will come specific to your specific mandate. James Lokwale anasema, this role affords us a big opportunity to upscale cross-border development initiatives through championing for peace coexistence among the ateker community. So that is the last comment. Maybe I'll read for now. We will get back in case there will be more that will come. So, Mheshimiwa, to our second section now, I'm asking you about, we spoke about development partners and how you're going to enrich your budget or your office to run all that you've said, smoothly without interference. So I want you to speak about, have you already mapped specific organizations or partners that you think of bringing on board?
We have already started talking to various organizations as government. And the Peace Secretariat in Nairobi is already having a list, a list of the key development partners that are interested. But let me say, from the time of my appointment, this appointment has also elicited a lot of interest. That the donors and partners are seeing the seriousness government is putting in the development of ateker. So it's a very serious matter. So we have people like the UNDP, we have DFID, USAID, we have GIZ, we have the NIDA. We have so many organizations picking interest. And we will actually engage them with a view of addressing the thematic areas agreed, which will be agreed by the council. It will not be as business as usual. You people will not be operating the way they want to operate. We will have a structured way of operating in the ateker, guided by the leaders, the luminaries, the council, the ateker council. We will open our hands to the partners. We will open our hands to the governments. But we want to sit with them and draw a plan. The roadmap will be drawn starting next month. So we welcome all the support.
You overtook, like you took it, like you initiated upon your appointment. What is part of the thing?
The first engagement is calling all the ateker leadership to tell them, here, look, we want to come together.
So have you heard that already?
I've already notified them. In next month, we will personally invite them. I will go to all those countries. I will invite them officially to come to organize the entity. The entity is the Ateker Leaders Council. Okay. It is not my council. It is our council.
Okay.
And that council will have the terms of reference, will have the roles laid out, will have the responsibilities, and they will proceed to develop the Peace Secretariat.
Okay.
A joint Peace Secretariat that will now be an executive arm to run the affairs of Ateker.
Yeah.
That is the first thing I wanted to do. The second is a very responsive one.
Yeah.
Is to get to our borders. And I've been to Ethiopia border. And I'm engaging in a low key. Our brothers from South Sudan, the border of Lokichogio and the borders of Nani, is to see how we can stamp out, silence the guns.
Okay.
Silence the guns. Talking to our people, please hold on, we're coming. Ateker as a rebirth now. Okay. There's a new order.
Yeah, in town.
In town.
Okay.
There's a new sheriff.
Yeah.
that wants to bring all of us in order.
Yeah.
And this is the order we want.
Okay.
It's not going to be my order. It is our order.
To
actually ensure our society is peaceful.
Okay. Those are two main things that you plan to undertake.
Yes.
So Mheshimiwa, you've spoken severally about the establishment of the council, the secretariat, and the peace committees at the borders. Now I want you to break it in terms of structure. From now, which one will come first, and then followed by which one, and then up to what point, even the reporting mechanism. Yeah. So I want you to speak, and even because someone asked in the comment section about the role of these councils. What will they be doing, and what will be the role of the secretariat, and then what will be the role of these peace committees at the border. So I want you to break those precisely.
So in the formative stages, the strategic framework begins with the inauguration, establishment of Ateker Leaders Council. That is the father, the mother.
Okay.
That will be the summit that will oversee affairs of Ateker. Is Ateker going through the right the trajectory the community wants? Are people operating in a manner that is giving them peace? So the general principles of uniting people, bringing people together, looking for resources for the Ateker, that is the top organ.
Okay.
But that is the executive organ now. From the top of organ, we will have now the chapters.
Okay.
The Ateker chapter in Kenya, the Ateker chapter in Nani, will have members of the peace committee drawn for every country. There's a top cream, but every country has their own chapter.
Okay. The three.
Yes. The four.
The four. Ethiopia.
After that now, then we now form the joint secretariat.
Okay.
That will now implement the resolutions of all these two structures. If they say we want a road for Moroto linking Lodwar, if they want a dam, if they want us to construct a market, all that. The people to implement that organ, function, is the secretariat.
Okay.
But now the peace border committees and the joint peace border committees will manage affairs of the borders. Because all this is about cross-border interaction.
Okay.
We will need a committee that will deal with the borders.
Okay.
On day to day.
Yeah. So
that's the distinction.
So the committee is the last one.
The committee is the last, the joint.
Yes. But where will they report?
Of course, it will be a committee that reports to the council.
Okay.
First to the secretariat.
Yes.
That this is what we want to do, and then through the secretariat to the county, country, Ateker structure, which is the national Ateker Peace Committee, and through them to the Ateker Leaders Council, the summit.
So where do you place now the county security committees?
The county security.
Like for example, because talking about the peace, you're talking about also the element of security bodies that are in different.
This is an ateker affair. We will have collaboration with the national government and the county government.
Okay. Okay.
Those will play a role, a supportive role for the community structures. Okay. These are purely community structures, but guided and supported by the national and the county governments.
So they will be sitting where will be the office?
They will.
They're now the council or the secretariat. Where will be the office? Of
they will be based in Lodwaya.
Okay.
We're starting an office, and the interim director of ateker secretariat is Peter Eripete, the former county secretary. That is the man.
So already the office is running.
There's an interim arrangement, and then we'll have thematic areas identified quickly in July, where, of course, through documents and through ateker conferences, we already have working documents.
Okay.
Highlighting, the last one was supported by Kenya International Boundary Office, Kibo, with East African Community School. Our minister supported us in developing those documents. It is those documents that give us now the thematic areas. We will open desks, like now the peace desk, the culture desk, the climate change, the women,
secretarial
sectors. And we want to call upon the Turkana elite professionals to sit on that desk, to volunteer for the time being, because we've not been funded yet. So in the next 1 month, you will see many ideas coming from our engineers, our anthropologists, our engineers and technical people all coming to support ateker. In fact, I'm getting many calls. Where is the secretariat? We want to bring ideas, we want to support.
Somebody was mentioning that now, from your immediate event that you attended, you spoke about the people of, old people, I would say the adults, like not young people, to be part of the secretariat. And
the council, the council is going to be elected by Turkana leaders. Wisdom calls for that kind of thing. Many of the council members will be old, experienced people. But the secretariat, dealing with the directors of themes,
the technocrats,
who are the main people in this ateker, will be young people, will be professionals. Will be mainly professionals. Interviews. We will interview people, but in the short while, we want to call upon the county government, because we have no salaries, to open a desk. We will open desks and invite national and county government to give representation on those thematic areas.
So there's a comment here which I think it is important also to read. Partnership is key in these cross-border issues, and I think it will address the issue of conflict along the border areas. We need ateker market day that will bring together ateker communities, and this will foster trade along the borders.
Yes, we have taken cognizance of that. That we will have some few markets. There will be one market in Kibish. It was proposed that we will have a major market in Nadapal to actually the catchment of all the animals. South Sudan drives over 10,000 cows to Juba.
10,000 cows
every month. The numbers going there. Trucks, they have not started coming to Kenya. So the people want to buy animals. The markets, all those animals will come to Nadapal. We want to do a big market in Nadapal. We want to do a big market in Oropoi, Kiriama, for Moroto. These are markets we will open. This side of the country, or across, of course. They can also put across. But this is why the council of the ateker council, leaders council, will decide.
So are you yourself, like your office, going to do all this alone, or you are doing it through maybe line departments, line ministries?
I'm a facilitator of actions. I will support the council. I will engage with the council. I will support the secretariat. I'm not going to implement this myself. My office, I'm the special envoy. I'm sent to help set up and support and give guidance and spearhead. But the actual implementation will be done by the secretariat. It's a Turkana Troposa Karamojong Secretariat. It is the secretariat.
Yeah.
They will get money there. They will manage the money.
Okay.
I'll be in the office of the president, just supporting the processes.
Yeah. So whatever the plans that the secretariat will have, so they will present it to you, and then you will.
They will present. They will present it to government.
To government.
Through government, I will actually be the one presenting it.
Specific
it can go. It can go. It can go straight to departments like East Africa. It can go to partners directly.
Okay.
That's what the secretary will do. I'm only going to support. I mean those processes in whichever way I see. It could be in the way of persuading the donors that this is a good idea. Please support it.
So you'll be linking them with the potential partners.
It's linking them with potential partners. Is presenting advocacy for them and all that.
So Mheshimiwa, whatever the plans the secretariat or your office will have, it is already anchored on a policy.
Yes, on policy. Yes, the president.
So even the constitution of those councils are already part of your job description.
We have not identified them. These are proposals.
Okay.
The ateker community presented in the last leaders conference.
Okay.
That we said we will form an ateker council. It was decided by all of us.
Okay.
Now I'm actually trying to midwife the process so that we achieve what the leadership wanted.
Okay.
Yes. It is not in my job to see, it is in general terms my responsibility to ensure we've processed or supported the formation of a strong ateker, which is good for the four countries.
Okay. We have a Department of Peace in the county government that is already even part of, part of the roles or activities that the secretariat is likely to undertake. So I don't know, are you, in your plan, thinking of bringing on board? How are you going to coordinate?
It's complementary. It's complementary.
Okay.
We will be working with them. In fact, they will be the ones who initiate our desk. Members of the peace committee department will sit on our desk. Yeah, so that we have the synergies linking.
Sawa Mheshimiwa. I think we have actually exhausted much of what we will have discussed. Unless maybe there's something you may want to add on top. But all the same, maybe what are you envisioning in the next maybe end of your tenure as a special envoy for peace in the ateker region? What do you think, this office, your office, will bring about in the next maybe 4 to 3 years to come, maybe even going further?
God willing, I want a new paradigm, and I want a new order that is going to transform our region. That is going to create wealth for our region, that is going to see pastoralism modernized, that is going to stamp out insecurity and pacify our borders. Pacify our borders. We don't want to see people dying. We don't want to see people losing property. We don't want to see illiteracy and people dying of disease. We want a new way of looking at our region that is going to be a civilized region of no deaths, of riches, and we want to harness the potential, tremendous potential that is that God gave us. Oil, minerals, livestock. We're now going to do meat processing. The president has just given us fish processing company, factories in a plant in Kalokol and Lorenga. This is what we want to see. We want to market. By that time, I would have wanted to see Turkana and Ateker market themselves as the crowd of mankind. That all the tourists be coming here to see our culture, to look at the creation where it started, and to attract people here for purposes of tourism. We want to see wealth creation here, but above all, we want shared prosperity. That is what I want to pray in 3 years when my contract ends, to see that I've made some change for our people.
Okay.
I've, together with the leadership, caused Turkana a smile on their faces. Thank you very much.
Okay. Asante sana Mheshimiwa. I know we've quite a lot to share, but before I close up, there are so many things. So many things people are sending me, even text on my name and sema hapa hivi. Ask the envoy what it will take for the Turkana leaders to pull in one direction, and the role he will play in creating harmony amongst the seemingly unending political supremacy.
Very important question.
Yes.
Very important question.
Yes.
I want to say this. All I've said is nothing.
Okay.
If the Turkana leadership do not pull in one direction. I've repeated in all the meetings since last week, and it's going to be my gospel.
Okay.
That it has to begin with the Turkana becoming peaceful first. The leaders must come together.
Okay.
We must respect each other. We must respect positions. We must respect our brothers and sisters. It has to begin with us before we can bring the ateker together. Without coming together and pulling, and with the political interference and all that, we will never achieve this.
Okay.
It cannot succeed with one person. It is not Munye's. It's not my project. It has to be a project of everybody. Full responsibility, all of us coming together. I've pleaded to governor, please support us. I've pleaded to the county security, please support us with this. Support the ateker. I've said every constituency, members of parliament, we will work with you. I will come to your regions. I will talk to every MCA. Please, governor, please, the MP, everybody should come together. The moment we do that, His Excellency the President, just like what he has done, will support this county. As long as we are fighting in this county, nobody is going to listen to us. Nobody is going to listen to us. Let's pull together. Next time we're going to State House, it's all of us.
Not
our professionals, our women caucus, our youth, our people, our business community. I want to thank my brother Justice Amoni, the Chamber of Commerce. We want to see them active. We want to see them create change in our region, because business is what we want. So all these people coming together will deliver a promise for our people.
Wonderful. Mheshimiwa, I know there are quite a lot here. Anasema, thanks for asking him that question. Structures of Ateker Council, where does it start? What's the framework?
The framework is with the Ateker Leaders Council. From the Ateker Leaders Council, every country retreats and form to form their chapter. The Turkana Peace Committee, Karamoja Peace Committee, Nyangatwa Peace Committee, and Toposa Peace Committees, Ateker Peace Committees. The moment those have been formed, we now come and form the Joint Secretariat. The Secretariat that will now oversee activities of peace and development in our region. Then we're incumbent upon our communities forming day-to-day structures to manage affairs of our borders. That's why we're forming now the peace border committees. The peace border committees, when they interact with the brothers across, they will form what we call the joint peace border committees, which is also partly a joint grazing committee, because the Krals are going to join.
The 18 Krals.
The 18 Krals will be joining with other people to form the joint grazing committees, which are also joint peace border committees. That is how to manage these people. And then give capacity to the elders. Improve our governance structure. Turkana governance structure is a very strong institution. The Kokwa, the Ketwangileo, all these people are coming and commanding the organization of the social organization of our Krals, in how they manage affairs, in dispute resolution, and all that. This is going to be the function. We will support them.
Okay.
This is a modern Kenya. This is modernity is coming. We will support the Turkana governance structure to play a role in supporting the kraals.
Okay, another question anasema kwamba okay, are other countries associated with ateker like Uganda, South Sudan, Ethiopia welcoming this dream of restoring peace? Are they welcoming?
All these communities have always wanted. This is long overdue.
Okay.
Transformation is a matter that is long overdue. We should have started a long time ago.
Okay.
This is a blessing. Everybody in support of this. Makiu,
Yeah.
already one group is running away from us. It developed to a point where it is now being institutionalized.
Which
the
group is
Iteso,
that?
the Iteso, with the Emormor,
Okay.
which is also part of Ateker. The Emormor is a government. Recognized by the government of Uganda.
Okay.
They have structures. These same structures we're talking about, the secretariat. They support the activities and the harmony and development and peace among the Taste of Kenya and the Taste of Uganda.
So they already have.
They already have a structure. They have a national anthem, my friend. We don't want a national anthem. We don't have those national anthems, but we want a structure that is going to help us.
Okay.
The testers have gone.
We don't want people. We don't need secession, but we need people to.
Ours is a political.
Oh, yeah.
We don't. Even the Murmur is not political.
Okay.
It's just a community activity. Organization.
Okay.
Yes.
Sawa sawa mheshimiwa. Niko na mingi sana lakini sasa kwa sababu ya muda I know you have a journey, you are going somewhere after this. So let me ask you to speak to this camera in Ngaturkana. Talk to people in the ateker community. They listen. This is one thing that brings us together and makes us one family. Talk to them in Ngaturkana what you're coming to do and the transformation you envision for ateker region in Ngaturkana, maybe in a few minutes, so that we conclude our show tonight.
Good.
Karibu.
Mata ateker. Jokonoi alakara akwarna yei etoili okanyata ayok TV. Are etoilo la ngakura ateker. Ngakura Ngaturkana. Atapita ngakuro ateker nganyanga ngatopa ankarmojong. Akro nakaya wonte ane akwarna kezi akro ita ateker. Kalemuni be na yongo arugori ekichichone angakura ateker. Ara tokona ambassador lokalemunti rais ya Kenya ekapulne Kenya Dr. William Ruto agweke ni akura ateker. Alakara yongo ikotere tichungolo amina yongo tichula ateker. Anyoiki ni akura ngona akimorke na ateker yoko. Nakolo kalemuni rayongo atelemu atama alemuni atekerindangi atochonakisi kiyongo ni moroto atoloto lokichokyo atoloto South Sudan nakopanya zana Rusi apoto chicho to akro yoko atochonakisi akro itdangi na atamare joko guakna atuketa pei ne wegini ngakura ateker. Kemorikina tokana kan kapolo Uganda, South Sudan, Ethiopia. Akimorikini echichikiti ngakoro aibere nyarta ateker leaders council. Na council ngana kidi wegini ngakoro yoko ateker. Ne ekisili na maendeleo kone boyori yoko ala yauni akiyarni yoko kingarangwane kangde yoko kakopa yoko. Aneru murnini korir ka gidi angkar mojongo khatela na je kilemuni atayawut na bo inkechichok inkuno no yok lolo de aksube tich la ateker nyarta ngulu ateker secretariat. Ele munengulu ani pedro ngone a chuna ken ngakro yoko na nya na wale nya a master plan ni ko ringro tini lo konyere ngakro ateker lo e unira kiar na jogon ateker ngotunga ichete kizigulu eminete engineers eminete kitarine ni eminete nyo eminete kaplo ngotunga lo yenda akro eminete ngaplo ngaberu iji jomul dangi epedoro ngoni aki chichere alotunga na nyete yo ateker secretariat anikilo di cop eminete lo ngawi lo nya peace border committees kori grazing committees arangul gumurgine tawani yiji gumurgine ga nguyo kwara nkamata gumurgine mateni ko ajara topada ka ngutunga lo kichogyo ngwatela ngenya ngato meka ngibigera kan ngwatela khang marle ngutungulda imurgine ngutunga ulu todo ba ko tika jabe tomorang nya kech tomorang akipi yau te boyur la jokon la uni ebari na khopayo alo masa plan gangolo igreta ngakona kationo ngakipi nguruku diei luye pote alo moroto lo duara taka kuma tolo ai to kibiji tolo tai ngare khopayo igwagu ngo te betara igwagu ngo magitiola lu apolo lu ele munete ngabaran dang to chuna ngabaran to gela ngotunga igwagi no ngakaezi na ngolere ngabaran tangara nga potione ko to na biyo dukyo alo kidepo kana alo kichegyo kugo ko akire yo kota Saudi Arabia ta Qatar alem ben Kenya nga apagdorio nga ario apagdori na lokal kana lo arenka era ibring ipitelu atak na wala nya angara kena ateker ada gitu orang ini mungkin ata caka tengah kena kalah politics eji yang aku atau cuma aku tengah tamat aja aku gua gitu api yang angara kena tengah tengah aku anju gue itu ciok elap belum mau ikut dia kena tengah aku yang mana repripi yang aku azubi yang baru gue tanya rawan yang kapal kodang mamu tani megini mamu tani be mereka ateker era kapulun hepo tengah tengah dang na tukurung na kichichu na akora ateker yo akora tata gali mun na jokono ngara ndia goju
ongna jokono ogana mheshimiwa klakara no ikotere alomuna bitona sasa aloma tinga corona ki turkana yang topoza gori kara mojong klakara no ikona chamne yoda lomu bunyo to ma TV na ba yoko TV akilipa jikata mari alto me gerlo pengolo atorto ngaren so ada ki ya jeki kitemo kuno ako ko bana ngakro na raitor nete na kana teker ko base lo turkana alor tala itemo kuno etemete au kituna ka moise gina so wanga rekeneta na turkana ta parach jeke tarau tunga lo yakaste no dagu peta na turkana ipi unio so wanga tunga nekena soro ke tunga dang ke na ngakro ki diama una edukere mon turkan a pei ne rai ngiro dang taranisia sa eta ke to na ngakro na rai ka development ne edukete ako na kanini teni ani yolo tichikoni ni karambo cha zima tamase kapolo ni yonga kikakanana base kama bas ko butulalo apoto ya kokdia kiasi zua solidari na tankron to kundangare so we are happy to have you jokono na kalakara
jokono yo daga ngarang dia guji jokono
asante
good
yeah it was nice mapicha tapiga mapicha hello
ya kaz down ke ya kaza bagenda kujala kara ngedla senet hotere are ya kazla mana sana lakini emam ngisalutio emam ngarupia na tionoko lakini are ya kazla mana na kuj
abu wake ni kapolo kamtuga sana mheshimiwa gavana issue and the MPs ka council naga na elders kwa tere tichulo bene anyinya
it is very difficult for people to appreciate success, but somehow people celebrate failure.
Na watu wanafikiri mimi nimeanza tu kama gavana. I started as a small person called a councillor. Mimi nilikuwa councillor, nilikuwa nakula shilingi 7,000 na nilikuwa nakula na watu 7,000 shillings. Ikaenda ikawa 14. Ikaenda ile mingi niliwacha sio ilikuwa 40 something. Na sisi ndio tuliongeza kwa sababu ilikuwa local. Ndio ilikuwa inaitwa local government.
Ekas down. Ke yeka da bagenda kujala kara. Ngedla senet. Hotere arayaka jila mana sana lakini emam ngisalutio emam ngarupia na chonoko lakini arayaka la mana na kuj.
Sababu wake ni kapolo kamtuka. Sana sana mheshimiwa gavana. Issue and the MPs. Ka council naga na elders. Kwa tere tijilo bene anyunia.